3 months ago, down.
Yeah,
But we don't have any twisted ecotopia shit. So, what? Twisted ecotopia. Oh, my goodness. Now you're.
those, no,
The over 13.
that's fear of Triscuits.
Yeah, actually, it's right, it's right. My father was from that. I didn't do that. Very grandson is for it. Yeah, it's like I just after 21st birthday. Yeah, it takes you big little honest.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to today's meeting of the King County Energy and Environmental Committee. Today is Friday, March 13th. Welcome to Friday the 13th. Please call the roll.
Allen. Caius,
Caius present.
Hennessis,
Hennessis here.
Rathman. Young.
Young here, remote.
Oh. Deja vu all over again.
Uh-oh, let's go, ghosts in the machine.
Sounds a lot like me. It is me.
It's your AI
Sound
twin.
like you, yeah.
Okay.
Genesis.
Mr. Young, I heard you. You're remote.
Here, remote.
Thank you. Tarver,
Carver's here remote.
Roth.
Roth is here.
Here. We have a quorum counting, so thank you for being here, Mr. Roth.
You are
Um,
welcome.
We have a couple of requests for remote attendance. It's Mr. Young and Mr. Tarver. And is Miss Allen on the way?
No objections.
Okay, no objections. Thank you very much. May I have approval of the minutes for February 20th, 2026?
Madam Chair, this is Caius. I would ask for unanimous consent for the approval of the minutes from February 20th, 2026.
Is there any objection? Do I have
None.
consent?
No.
Thank you very much. Public comment, please. I have Mr. Young is a public speaker this morning. Go ahead, Mr. Young.
Okay. David Young, complaint for violation of the First Amendment and for declaratory and injunctive relief. This civil rights action arises from Bates' retaliation against plaintiff for engaging in core political speech during public comment at a Kane County Board meeting. Using official position and resources, Bates attempted to censor and punish plaintiff's viewpoint, including A, mobilizing opposition via official county email, B, contacting the state's attorney to censor plaintiff and contacting other board members to go along with the censorship, and C, threatening further political retaliation because of plaintiff's speech. The First Amendment prohibits government officials from using the power of their office to chill, punish, or suppress disfavored viewpoints. Plaintiff seeks damages, declaratory and injunctive relief, and attorney's fees and costs under 42 U.S. Section 1988. Bates took adverse actions, including mobilizing opposition via official channels, contacting the state's attorney to seek censorship, and threatening political consequences because of plaintiff's viewpoint. Bates' actions would chill a person of ordinary firmness from continuing to engage in the protected activity. Bates' conduct was motivated by plaintiff's protected speech and viewpoint. Bates acted under color of state law and violated clearly established First Amendment rights. Plaintiff is entitled to compensatory and punitive damages and to declaratory and injunctive relief. There is case law that supports civil rights action against an elected official. Bennett versus Hendricks involved citizens who spoke out against the sheriff's policies and election campaign, after which the sheriff and his deputies allegedly harassed the plaintiffs and encouraged others to act against the plaintiffs in retaliation of their protected speech. The 11th Circuit held that these actions constituted adverse action under the First Amendment because it would deter a person of ordinary firmness from exercising free speech rights. The plaintiffs were initially awarded $3.6 million. Thank you.
Walnick? Oh,
Thank-
sorry, Steve. Mr. Leffler, please. Sorry, Ms. Walnick. Sorry, Steve. Sorry.
Good morning, Steve Leffler, St. Charles. Yesterday, I got in my car, I didn't ride my bike, sorry, and rode up to Burlington, Wisconsin to attend the Fox River Summit. And I'm sitting there in the front row, and all of a sudden, some guy comes and sits kind of close next to me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, "Where's your Crocodile Dundee hat?" And Chris, it was great seeing you up there. We had a nice time. I had a couple of major takeaways from this. First, the Isaac Walton League, IWLA.org, offers free salt test kits for citizens. Everybody can go to IWLA.org, get their free salt test kits, and we could all be going out and testing the salt levels, because all this salt that the county buys, it goes onto our streets, but it doesn't just disappear. It goes into our groundwater, it goes into our soil, or it goes into our rivers and goes down to the Gulf of Mexico. Either way, it's all bad. So it'd be great if we could figure out how to reduce what the county buys every year on that matter. Some counties, Chris and I heard that some counties have imposed a moratorium on certain roads getting road salt in the winter. That'd be kind of cool. From my standpoint, at least, guy who doesn't drive a lot out in the country. I'm sure the other folks wouldn't like that. The other thing we heard about that was really cool was phosphorus levels and how to reduce that. A gentleman got up and gave a talk about his study where they had figured out that you could meet the standards for the Fox River for runoff by doing row cropping, or in row cropping by building a bioswale along there that's vegetated, and then putting a cover crop in over the winter. And that would help reduce it. There were three things that they were supposed to do, but it reduced it down enough so that it would meet the 86% reduction of phosphorus levels in the river that they needed. So
Okay.
I've got details on that if anybody's interested, but it'll cost a lot of money to do that, but so will fixing all the water treatment plants up and down the river. And it might provide us a way to not have to spend all the hundreds of millions of dollars in the water treatment plants. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. Good information. Now, Ms. Walnick, please.
Thank you. I just want to give the committee a heads up. We do have a very full agenda today, so Madam Chair will keep us on track to make sure we don't go too far over. Quick update, we are still waiting for the second proposal for the phase 2 investigation out at Fabian. So hopefully we'll have an update on that next month. And we did not get the data completed for the presentation number 2 on the energy audit consultant. And so that will be coming next month as well. And this morning we have Sarah Moskowitz. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name close, who's going to do a presentation for us on Illinois clean and reliable grid affordability. And Sarah, if you can ask for your slides to be advanced, Blair will advance those for you. Thank you.
Okay, super. Excuse me. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me and accept my apology for not being there in person. I have to be at an in-person meeting at noon downtown, so it's going to be kind of tight. Next slide, please.
Good morning,
Just a-
Sarah.
Hi, Mavis. Good to see you.
Morning.
So yeah, just a little background. I think most of you are probably familiar with the Citizens Utility Board. We're a utility consumer advocate that is independent of any political party or state government. We were created by statute, however, which gives us standing to represent residential and small business utility customers at the Illinois Commerce Commission. But we also do a lot of work in the community, giving presentations to people, informing them of their rights as utility customers, what kinds of programs are available. And then we also help field complaints and questions from consumers. We can, if you're ever having an issue with your utility, you can't get straightened out on your own, give us a call. We can get in touch with a higher office at the utility on your behalf. And also when you call us and let us know what's going on out there, that gives us more ammo to go after wrongdoers in the utility markets. Next slide, please. And you can probably, yeah, you can just scoot right past this one. We have a great website. If you ever wanted to know what all those little things about your bill, all the little charges on your bills are for, we explain it all. Way too much information. We're out there if you ever need us. Next slide. So I was invited today to talk a little bit about the latest in the Illinois' long history of ambitious energy legislation. I'm going to have to stretch this out onto 2 slides soon because this timeline of energy bills just keeps getting longer and longer, and it is not to scale, as you can see. It starts with 1997, and then that was 10 years that passed between the restructuring law in Illinois and the Illinois Power Agency Act that created the IPA. But this is just to demonstrate that we're doing a lot in Illinois. And CUB has been monitoring all of that. We've been participating in guiding the legislation and doing our best to ensure that all of the power sector legislation that's been passed in Illinois doesn't just benefit the utilities, doesn't just benefit our sustainability or clean energy goals, but also really brings those benefits to everyday consumers. And so, when you take advantage of things like community solar or utility energy efficiency program, or soon battery storage rebates, thanks to the Clean Reliable Grid Affordability Act, which was just signed into law, that's a result of a lot of work that was put into devising these pieces of legislation. Getting the legislation itself across the finish line, but then also implementing it in the regulatory sphere. And the regulatory sphere, and by that I mean like the Illinois Power Agency or the Illinois Commerce Commission. These are the guys that oversee the utilities, they oversee the state's energy procurements. That is going to be all the more important now that SURJA, as we call it, or SB 25, that's the bill that was signed into law by Pritzker in January. It's going to be that law really shifts the power to the regulators to set our state's goals and wield the programs that may be needed to help the state meet its goals. And I'll explain what I mean by that down the road. And I've been told I have about 15 minutes. I will do my best to not be super wordy, but as you can already tell, I do get wordy. So feel free to just pipe up, or Mavis, I can see you there. Just do this if I start to ramble too much. Next slide, please. So yeah, we have a lot of stuff here right now in Illinois. When I first started doing this work, I've been at CUB since July of 2000. You had no options when it came to energy efficiency programs or community solar or special rates to benefit, rates to reward you for shifting your energy usage to off-peak times. Someone would call our hotline at CUB and they had really high bills And once we established that there wasn't an error, there wasn't much we could say. Like, well, just try to use less, I guess. But now there are almost too many options for everyday consumers. And again, all of that is a result of a lot of the hard work that we've done to get these great policies passed in our state. And soon there will be new programs available in the form of virtual power plants and battery storage rebates, which the bill isn't even in effect yet, but down the road, it's setting up regulatory processes and incentive programs to bring those kinds of programs to everyday consumers. Next slide, please. So Surja, as we affectionately call it, it's an energy omnibus package, which really it's pretty broad, but it's hard to describe. It's not as simple as to understand as prior bills, because it's not just about growing solar or, increasing budgets for energy efficiency programs offered by the gas and electric utilities, although it does do that. Really, to me, what it's really about is about giving our state the tools it needs to push back against kind of the retrograde grid policies that we've fallen victim to. I'll get into that. So this division of what Surja does that I presented in this slide, I lifted that from the Illinois Environmental Council. These three tranches here, power sector, local reform, building decarbonization, those are somewhat arbitrary. Just know that the power sector piece is the piece that I am definitely by far the most familiar with, because that's the part that's really in Cub's wheelhouse. The local reform stuff, that's y'all's wheelhouse, and I know that you probably have some thoughts about that. I am not the expert on local reform, but I'll talk a little bit about what Surja does. And then building decarb, that was kind of a catch-all because Surja also sets up pilots for networked geothermal or thermal energy networks. It also has a carve-out in our renewable portfolio program in Illinois for geothermal incentives. It also, like I said, grows gas and electric energy efficiency. But we can go to the next slide now. All right. So the reason why Cub supported this legislation is because it helps our state, like I mentioned earlier, it helps our state protect consumers of electricity even from spikes in supply prices, even though we are a restructured state in Illinois. And when I say restructured state, that's like a nice way of saying deregulated, although they're still highly regulated. But essentially, that first on that slide with the timeline earlier, the farthest left bill was the 1997 Rate Relief and Restructuring Law, and that is the law that basically required the distribution utilities like ComEd up here to sell off their generation assets. So now in Illinois, ComEd and the investor-owned utilities, mainly ComEd up here and in central and southern Illinois, it's Ameren, Illinois, don't own power plants. So this is a beautiful picture of a ComEd bill right here. I'm sure that's what you wanted to see. I live in a tiny apartment, so don't be mad when you look at the price there. I live like a hermit in a tiny apartment. You see the supply part and the delivery part. So the delivery portion of the bill, that's overseen by the Illinois Commerce Commission. That is the part of your bill that ComEd makes money off of. The supply part of the bill, that is set by wholesale markets. We here in Northern Illinois are connected to PJM Interconnection. That's the grid operator that runs the capacity markets, runs the energy markets, and those are the markets that feed into what our price for supply is, our default price. If you're still with ComEd and you haven't switched to another supplier, which Cub generally recommends, we recommend that you do not switch to another supplier. Most of those are a big ripoff. If you have questions about that, you can invite me back. Next slide.
You recommend that people don't switch from?
Correct.
Well,
We don't. Most of those are a ripoff. And even the ones that market themselves as green, it's usually a greenwashing situation where you're paying a premium and they aren't actually building new clean generation
So
anywhere.
they're buying offsets or something.
Yep, stale renewable energy certificates from places like Quebec or Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't get me started, Mavis.
Okay, moving right along.
Yeah, moving right along. So the way I've been describing Surja or SB 25 is that it is Illinois' response to external power market pressures. So the left chart here shows what has happened to the ComEd and Ameren, Illinois supply prices over the years, and you see that it's volatile. We saw a giant spike in our supply prices on June 1st of last year. We saw another spike back in 2022. And that's not because of anything that ComEd did. That's not because of anything that the Illinois Commerce Commission. That is because of what's been going on at PJM, the wholesale market operator. So basically, in a state like Illinois, we have given up our state's ability to like mandate the building of new power plants. Like if we lived in a vertically integrated state like Wisconsin or Indiana, if there were a spike in need for electricity, like data centers or something, the utility, which can own generation in those states, would would file a case at the regulator and say, we need to raise rates by this much because we want to build a new power plant. That's not how it works in Illinois. We basically just trust the market to incentivize the building of new power plants. And the market has not been doing a really good job of that. So how do we push back against that with the powers that we have at our state? Next slide. Power sector. So next slide. The way we do it in Illinois is by we have to do what we can to influence the supply-demand balance. So we can't actually tell ComEd to build new power plants, but we can create a system of incentives to get more power generation online more quickly. And that's what needs to happen because, as all of you have heard, we are seeing major growth in demand for electricity for the first time in decades, largely the result of data center need for electricity that's happening across the country. And so so that has caused a real constraint in energy supply. So, and that's been shooting up prices. So what can Illinois do? Well, we can try and get some more energy supply online. And what's the cheapest and quickest way to do that? Well, probably battery storage, things like that. So that's what Surja does. It's largely it's largely like probably going to be seen as the legislation that created Illinois' large-scale battery storage program. And it's also going to be seen as the legislation that that gives Illinois regulators the ability to examine our future electricity needs and mold our programs to ensure that we meet them. So that's what that last point is what this slide is about. Surja creates an integrated resource planning process at the Illinois Commerce Commission, whereby the ICC runs a docketed proceeding to look at our resource mix, meaning like where our power is coming from, how much electricity we're going to need in the state of Illinois, and what, if any, kinds of changes do we need to make to our renewable portfolio standard or our battery portfolio standard or our energy efficiency programs to ensure that we have enough power online when we need it the most. So this is kind of a big deal. I know I'm probably putting everybody to sleep describing it, but this is a big deal because the way that we've been setting our clean energy goals and like our budgets for programs that go towards solar or efficiency has essentially been in the General Assembly. So whenever it came time to adjust our renewable portfolio standard budgets or energy efficiency programs or things like that, you'd have to go back to Springfield and work out some kind of legislative package to get that done. And a lot of times those targets were negotiated. They weren't like, so if you said like, we're gonna set a target of this much renewable generation online by this date, they weren't really based on any kind of scientific analysis or evaluation or any like sophisticated modeling. It was based off of a political negotiation. And we'd have to go back every few years to do that again when we had new changes. That negotiation is now going to be transferred over to the Illinois Commerce Commission and be based off of actual modeling and be done via a docketed proceeding where CUB and other experts will be weighing in to hopefully bring about the best possible solution for our state. This will be the first time we're doing this, so it should be interesting. The first Integrated Resource Plan will have to be filed by November 16th of this year. The next one will be submitted in 2029, and then the idea is to hold them every 4 years thereafter. So when I say that implementation of this legislation is where the real work comes in, I am not kidding. This is going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be a big deal. And this process is going to make or break a lot of what it's going to make or break our clean energy goals in Illinois. It's going to make or break affordability for bills. This is going to be a very big deal, and it's exciting, but it's also makes me a little nervous. So you guys should closely follow what's happening here. Next slide, because I
Is there a
know.
way to follow it's going to be in the committee then? Who's writing it?
Well, so this is going to be put together by the Illinois Commerce Commission. So it's
Okay.
going to be a docketed proceeding at the ICC. The ICC does have an email list. Every once in a while I get something from them. You can also just keep tabs, keep checking CUB's website. We are going to be watching this closely. Or just give me a call if you ever want to know where things are at, or send me an email or something, or invite me back. Although
Okay.
I know I'm running out of time, so you may never write me back. So really quickly, Surja also creates energy storage targets for our state. It's think of it as analogous to our renewable targets. So it's going to basically be back like, we have a renewable portfolio standard, or the RPS, and the Illinois Shines program that's issues incentives for solar development. This basically does the same thing for battery storage. So in a few years, if you get a battery system installed on your home, you will be able to get rebates, things like that. The first procurement is just going to be for large scale. That's going to happen really quickly since these market pressures are happening now. But like, stay tuned, because there will be incentives in place for everyday consumers to get storage too, including an income qualified storage program similar to Solar for All, but this one's going to be Storage for All. Next slide. A lot of other power sector reforms. We may actually finally see some virtual power plants where you can kind of aggregate your usage, and everyone aggregated together can curb their usage at peak times and get some money back for doing so. Stay tuned. It looks like nuclear might be a thing again. We'll see about that. The governor's been making noises about nuclear. There's no longer a nuclear construction moratorium in our state. There's some good stuff, consumer protections in there about for solar. Next slide, please. Next slide. Local reforms. So one of the things that we are happy about in this bill is that it basically it creates a little bit more transparency and a little bit more requirements on municipal and cooperative utilities, so that they can't do things like prevent people from putting solar panels on their homes. The electric munis and co-ops will have to file IRPs after public comment period with the Illinois Power Agency, so at least we can get a little bit of transparency into what they're up to. There's some stuff in there about siting, which you can look up if you're interested. And then there is a new process at the Illinois Commerce Commission to resolve siting disputes between local governments and developers. This was contentious. This is not CUB's issue. I was kind of sitting on the sidelines watching people argue about this. This ended up in the bill. for better or for worse. Next slide. Yeah, the ICC is going to have a lot of work to do. Next slide, please. And then there's a lot more in there. Like I mentioned, it increases energy efficiency goals for electric. It also gives gas utilities the option to increase their energy efficiency goals. It would be nice to see if they do that. NICOR made some noises about being interested. Next slide, please. I mentioned that it also is going to create a carve out in our RPS to go towards geothermal heating and cooling. So that's cool. So people who want to get a ground source heat pump will be able to get some rebates to do so in a couple of years. There's also probably going to be some pilots looking at how thermal energy networks might be able to help kind of like a cluster of buildings or a new development or a campus lower their energy costs. And also, we're going to be seeing some more ability out of the Illinois Finance Authority's Green Bank to fund things like that. Next slide, please. I think I'm getting towards the end. Oh, yeah. Don't stop, though. You got to stay tuned because data centers are next up on the docket. And this is going to be really hard. The data center stuff is sticky. And although you might think that in your neighborhood, data centers are immensely unpopular. In some areas, they are more popular because they bring a lot of money. And so there has been a bill proposed to tackle data centers, but I just wanted to add this slide at the end because Illinois' energy policy story is far from done, and this is going to be a hot topic in the next year or two. And I think that's about it for me.
That was great, Sarah. Do we have a minute for a couple questions, maybe? Mr. Roth?
Sarah's comment about it's sticky. I would say it's heated.
I can't get your words. What?
I said she's described as data centers being sticky. I would describe it as heated.
Heated?
About
Very
the
heated,
heat.
very heated discussion. I would-
There was an article in the Trib about a month ago. There's projected 104 new data centers in the Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana. And the data centers, a lot of them are negotiating to get the best deal. So if Illinois resists too many, they're going to all end up in Indiana and Wisconsin, was what the article leaned towards. And that's a lot of money
That's a lot of, well,
and a lot of heat.
it would take us a very long time to discuss this. So
I know. And I'm just making the comment.
Mr. Caius, please.
And they're using their water and polluting
Yeah,
their.
they can have their Trojan horses for all I care. Mr. Penesis, did you have anything to say?
No, I didn't, but regarding the data centers, I know that the state, is kind of tying our hands as far as
Mike better.
approving this. Can you hear me, Sarah?
I can, yeah.
Okay. Is there legislation? I think there's legislations being proposed as far as data centers at the state level or no?
There are a couple of bills. One is a pretty big, ambitious one. Then there are smaller ones that address like the waste heat issue. The Power Act might be the one that you've heard of, and that one tackles their energy demand, the energy capacity demand, noise, pollution, like it. But it's going to be a big issue, not just because of how important the data centers are, but because the reason the data center industry has to come to the table right now is that they want something, and that is they want the state to relax its biometric information privacy statute. And so then you get the trial lawyers and ACLU and folks involved, and so it's going to be a big deal.
Thank you.
You have a couple hands up online.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Young?
Hi, David Young. I brought up this SB 25 bill a couple of months ago, and it was it was in the January meeting. And I was very surprised and happy to see that I agreed with JB Pritzker on something, which was that he is going for nuclear. And I'm surprised that you had one sentence and about 20 seconds of information about nuclear, because I think that is the solution, especially when you look at all of the small nuclear reactors that are coming online. And you have Bill Gates and Donald Trump and all these billionaires getting involved, J.B. Pritzker involved as a governor, driving nuclear primarily to act as a source for these data centers. And when you look at, I've been following this small company, I forget what it's called. They're in Washington, but they make a very small commercial scale nuclear power that we should be exploring more. And that will bring down the cost of energy. So I think I think I know the reason why is because when I look at your website, the Cub website, it's really all about green energy and windmills and solar panels, and that's what you kind of focused on in your presentation. But I'd like to see Illinois, I'd like to see you, I'd like to see us look at nuclear and be serious about looking at nuclear for an option and seriously discuss it, because it just seems to be moving to the side. But the data centers are not going to allow that. These billionaires are not going to allow you to move it to the side. They need power.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
so they're gonna. So yeah, go ahead. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, you're right, Mr. Young. I didn't focus on nuclear because the only provision in the bill about nuclear was just lifting the moratorium. And it's funny because, before the data center load started hitting, it's kind of like, whatever, nuclear, it sounds expensive. We saw what happened in Georgia, where the rate-based nuclear project there went, billions of dollars over budget and many years, but now with the kind of energy demand that these data centers are seeking, it's not seeming as crazy. Cub has historically not focused on nuclear simply because of the cost, but times are changing, and I think there is going to actually be a discussion of nuclear. In his State of the State address a couple weeks ago, the governor did announce an executive order calling on the Illinois Commerce Commission to examine the costs of new nuclear. And I think the way it's structured is that the ICC will be putting out like a request for information from nuclear developers to find out kind of how much it would cost, how long it would take, where they think they might build it. And I was kind of surprised to see that. And, especially since as a restructured state, Illinois doesn't have the wherewithal to like mandate or ratepayer fund the production of new nuclear. But, maybe it's when you look at the big tech companies that want all this electricity, they have a lot of money. And so maybe it's kind of in a way the state doing the tech company's homework for them or something, or maybe just starting to dip a toe into that. And like the small modular reactors, that'll be interesting to see where those go. I think another likely thing we could see would be for folks to look at funding additional reactors at existing nuclear facilities, of which we have several in Illinois. So I don't know who here likes nuclear or doesn't, but that's going to be a thing. It is going to be a
Okay,
thing.
thank you. John, Mr. Gripe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate this, Sarah. This is very, very interesting, and I'll make this brief. I know there's time shortage. I don't know that batteries are going to help a whole lot. I've been doing some studies about how much they can hold. They're a great idea, but for a data center, I think they hold in entirety what a data center uses in 30 minutes. So, any rate, but I'd be very interested, Mavis, if the committee could look into these smaller nuclear resources in the county, because for the most part, data centers are going into cities. We have no say on them, but we could be a, excuse me, energy source possibly, or promoting an energy source down the rate, and nuclear is going to be clean. It's got to be clean as any green energy is going to be, these days. So I think if we can help solve the problem, creating more energy sources with guidance from Sarah and stuff, I think that'd be great. It'd be a big service. I'm out of town now, and I am about 2 minutes from a huge data center being built by Facebook, or excuse me, whatever they call themselves now. And the city council here approved it sight unseen, basically because of the revenue. So that's what you're fighting when you're going into this is the amazing amount of money. So maybe we can just do it on the energy side and be part of the solution. I'd love to help with that.
Okay, let's move on to the next item on the agenda. And thank you. So Sarah, let's say goodbye to Sarah. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your help and your guidance.
Thank you,
and,
Sarah.
a very interesting discussion. Okay, thanks, Sarah. So next we have Miss Ryan.
Okay. Sounds good. I have a few quick announcements that didn't make it into the packet, but the first is that we had a very successful recycling event on February 28th. Hopefully folks had a chance to see that in Kane County Connects. It was our first time having more than 1,000 vehicles come through since 2018. And we did the most shredding we've ever done at a single event since 2021. So kudos to all the volunteers. The Kane County Connects piece got picked up by Waste Advantage magazine, which probably means nothing to anyone here, but I was like, oh, I'm famous. So it was great. Yeah. Okay. Second announcement. So for folks in the room, I handed out a flyer just with the dates for our campaign sign recycling after the primary election. For folks online with interest, it's on our website. If you go to the recycling homepage, it's under news and announcements to get to those dates. And third and final quick announcement. The print copies of the Green Guide, both the English language version and the Spanish language version, arrived in the mailroom yesterday. I do have copies here if anyone would like to grab some for their own personal distribution. We have a whole distribution process. They do go to all the libraries, all the city halls, community centers, that type of thing. And we'll be working on that for the next few weeks, getting them broadly out there.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
Any volunteers to carry them to those locations?
Not necessarily. Okay, those were the quick announcements. Then I will start my presentation. Wonderful. Okay, so this is the first part, I guess, of my kind of annual review of what our program accomplished in the last year. This particular section is going to focus on household hazardous waste. And it's kind of just kismet, I guess, but I have a few resolutions that all also deal with household hazardous waste as well. So it worked out really nicely. So just a really quick refresher about what household hazardous waste is. It means unwanted residuals of chemical containing products purchased for household use. Chemicals is a big scary word. Water is a chemical, right? But to be characterized as household hazardous waste, these products would have to have one of the following characteristics: flammability, high flammability, acute toxicity, corrosivity, or reactivity. And they, if they were owned by a business or an industry, they would be regulated through the RCRA, the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, which is a very broad piece of federal regulation about hazardous materials and safe disposal. However, households are generally exempt from needing to dispose of household hazardous waste in any particular way. Though there are a few instances where state law is more stringent than RCRA. So in Illinois, used motor oil is banned from landfill disposal, and lead acid batteries are banned from landfill disposal. Soon, actually, in 2028, through the Battery Stewardship Act, all batteries will be banned from landfill disposal in Illinois. So if a resident is aware of household hazardous waste and they want to do the right thing and seek safe disposal, what are their options? Well, the first is a drop-off facility. It's on, we talk about it here on the lower corner of page 6 of the Green Guide. It's the Naperville drop-off. And so this site is subsidized by IEPA and by county and local governments, including King County. IEPA pays for the transport and disposal portion. The county and local governments fund the collection costs. So the labor, the facility costs. It's one of only 5 such sites in the entire state. You can see them on the map here. This one is Naperville. This one is Goose Island in Chicago. This is Gurnee, Rockford, and then one down in Edwardsville. There is a 6th coming soon. It will be in the Chicago area. Cook County is opening one in the south suburbs. So it'll be like kind of like right there. And then there's interest in opening one in Champaign-Urbana as well. But yeah, not a lot of capacity for collection when you think about the entire state. All of these sites are open to all state residents without fees. Their availability differs, but for Naperville is open every weekend from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. on both Saturdays and Sundays, excluding major federal holidays. We do offer a home pickup program as well. So if you think about where King County is, Elgin is probably like up here, Carpentersville, not real convenient to get to Naperville. So that's kind of why the home pickup program was conceived. It's only available in eligible areas of the state, the county. So it started with the 6 most northern townships, minus the city of Elgin, because they decided to do their own thing. And then later the cities of Batavia and Geneva were added. They basically bought in to participate. The Mill Creek Special Service Area and the rest of unincorporated Blackberry Township as well. So how the program works is every household in that service area is entitled to 1 free use of the service per year. They don't pay anything for that service. Well, they don't pay anything directly to us for the service. Some of the municipalities do have a fee assessed through their waste hauling contract for participation, but it's really low. It's usually about $3 per household per year. So it's not something that people really notice paying. And then the actual service can be scheduled pretty much anytime, Monday through Friday. Either there's an online form people can fill out, or they can book by phone as well. And then also worthy of note, some municipalities have organized through their waste hauler to offer specific household hazardous waste service. So Elgin and Maple Park do that with an on-demand service for home pickup, similar to what we do. It's just organized differently through their waste hauler. And then other municipalities have occasional, either quarterly, biannually, or annually, depending on where you are, hauler sponsored events. Those are East Dundee, Pingree Grove, Sugar Grove, and Montgomery. Okay. So I always like to talk a little bit about how the Naperville site is being used. There were 1,863 drop-offs by Kane County residents, which made up 8.7% of the total visits to the site in 2025. So I do need to note that is a smaller percentage than has been typical over the history of collecting this data. For a long time, until about, 2018, we were about 14% of users. And then since about 2018 until recently, it's hovered always around 10 to 11%. And then it was really down this year. And I don't know why. I have no idea why. But we can certainly try and do a better job of promoting the Naperville site. it's in the green guide. It always is. I always try and mention it on the phone. But it does depend where people live. If they're in the northern part, I'm going to tell them about home pickup instead. We did dispose of a lot of material through use of Naperville. About 115,000 pounds of material rounded there. To put that into context, is the equivalent weight of an adult sperm whale, a large adult sperm whale. There he is in the background. Or if you're more inclined to think about vehicles, about 23 F-150 quad cabs. So there, those all are. This little chart here just shows where the Kane County program participants or Naperville drop-off folks were coming from. Not surprisingly, it is dominated by high population areas that are closer to Naperville. So Aurora is the lion's share, Batavia, Geneva, St. Charles kind of, I guess, although it's further than either Geneva or Batavia, they don't participate in the home pickup program. So they have somewhat more people coming to Naperville as well. Okay. I do chart this just year over year. The visits are on this axis and it's this line here. So you can see we're kind of down in the number of visits compared to last year, probably down over average as well. However, the amount of material, so this is tons, not pounds, but this is the material, that's the red line. We're still up for material. So in short, over the last few years, people have been using the site maybe more efficiently. They're making fewer trips, but taking more material per trip, which, people are busy. It makes sense.
Is there something, Claire, I'm sorry, just a quick question regarding that chart. 2022 to 2023, it was always, I mean, that's a big jump. Was there something that was accepted that wasn't previously accepted between 2022 and 2023?
The site closed for 6 months, but I thought that was 2023.
Were people just cleaning out their house after COVID?
Could be. There hasn't been major changes in acceptance that I am aware of.
Okay. That's a big jump. That's good.
It is a big jump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vapes is one of the things that got added recently, but that weight is not vapes. They're not very heavy. The home pickup program, we had 387 program uses in 2025. That's a decrease over 2024, but it's probably good because we went over budget in 2024. So, I was really tracking it very, very, very closely, making sure we didn't go over budget. It is on average 32 stops per month. We collected just under 20,000 pounds of total material. We, being Clean Harbors, the contractor for the program, collected that. That's the equivalent weight of 4 of those quad cab F-150s. So a lot less than Naperville. We do get some more granular data about the home collection program. So we know that about 45% of the material that was collected through it was recycled or treated appropriately and recycled, and then 55% was incinerated. I barely changed this from year to year. The number one material always collected is pesticides and fertilizers. It made up about half of all the material that goes through this program was either a pesticide or a fertilizer. And 95% of the material incinerated. There really is no way to recycle that stuff. And then I did put a green tip somewhere in the green guide specifically about that. I think it's on the household hazardous waste page. It's like, if you're, try sharing a bag of fertilizer with your neighbors. If you can only buy it in, large quantities that are too large for your lawn, maybe try that instead of buying the big bag and then having to dispose of it.
That doesn't like time out, does it? It doesn't expire.
Fertilizer.
People,
Pesticide will become less effective over time, over storage, especially if it's not like temperature controlled, if it's just in a garage. Fertilizer is probably pretty.
Madam Chair, that's a good question because they imply every year that you got to buy new. I would love to know that answer because you're right. A lot of people don't use it, you know, especially those ones where you get 4 bags and you don't use one of them.
well,
Yeah.
if you'd like to come back to us with that data someday, that
Sure. Yeah, I could look into that. Then the number 2 material collected was house paint. Hoping to see a big decrease in this year because of the new paint program. Last year was about 1/3 of all the material collected and 72% of the material recycled. But people continue to overbuy lawn chemicals and house paint.
wasting their own money.
Page 7 of the
Yeah.
talks about paint.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Just some facts and figures about use data. So City of Batavia and City of Geneva make up almost half of all uses. They are paying into it. They're probably acutely aware that they're paying into it and they're really advertising it to their residents. South Elgin had a really strong use last year as well. Interestingly, so this is the unincorporated population of the northern 6 townships. I like to see strong use by them because they really don't have any options at all through their waste haulers. Because a lot of these townships don't have franchise waste hauling at all. So they couldn't add it if they wanted to. Huntley, this is Sun City. People in Sun City love this program.
Where's St. Charles in that?
So St. Charles doesn't participate. They have just historically chosen not to.
Madam Chair?
Who's that, John? Mr. Gray?
Yes. If I may, a question. Claire's doing a great job here, but she got beyond my question. It was on page 10 and the fertilizer and pesticide. Is there any way we could support people sharing that with neighbors? Because, you know, incineration isn't a great thing, but it's the only thing. And if we could get people to share those in neighborhoods or something, I don't know how we.
Miss Ryan did say that.
Yeah, okay. But
Good
I
idea.
thought she said it
Great mind.
wasn't really very doable. And as far as buying too much, I know when we buy paint or pesticides or anything like that, I have to buy what I have to buy, right? Chances are I'm not going to use it. I never don't use all my fertilizer. I will go back and put more. But so people just have to buy what they have to buy, and it's unfortunate, but they're going to get stuck with what they can't use. So,
but I think the idea is that they overestimate how much they're going to need, and then there's buckets left over.
yeah, that's true. But at any rate, so I don't we should be, you know, a little more forgiving, I guess, with people, because I know, I mean, my wife is an interior designer, and you know, we buy too much paint only because we needed 1 pint more and they don't sell it that way. So anyway, it's a good problem to be able to deal with. I think we're doing a great job.
That is true. I mean, it's definitely true that you know, companies, not consumers, are in charge of the denominations that are sold, and they've got a certain customer in mind, and people that need less are, you know, can have problems.
Claire, do you know if there's still, I remember it was, there's a place in Elgin and they used to accept paint, and what they would do is they'd mix all the different colors together and then sell it to people who wanted just color bland in a like commercial apartment. Are there any places like that?
So the Habitat for Humanity store in Elgin will take, I believe they only take like unsealed paint. So like if you bought an entire container too much, they would take it. But otherwise, there's a collection program through Sherwin-Williams and J.C. Lick stores. There's also the Ace Hardware in St. Charles just signed up too. So they collect paint, and then they help that happen on like a giant scale. It's sent to primarily a facility in Nashville, Illinois, where I've actually toured the site. It's absolutely massive warehouse where they do that, they use paint additives, the recycled paint, and they mix it into standardized products.
I
and then
think we
it's
need to
resold.
gently.
Yeah,
use the
keep
chemical
Yeah,
moving on.
absolutely.
Okay, sorry.
I didn't know you're always full of great information.
I'll keep it quick. I have noticed the retailers are going to bigger bags of fertilizer. You know, you used to be able to buy 5,000 square feet. Now they're selling the 10,000. Well, for my yard, that's
Okay.
Yeah,
way too much.
me too.
Maybe we can start a movement here and
fertilizing.
sharing. Stop fertilizing.
I donate mine to the museum because we can't afford to buy it. So I take it and use it out there.
Premises.
Yeah, I have some old pesticide, but that's great. Going back to the paint, I'm painting my house right now. JC Electric, you know, they accepted the paint. What happens to that paint? Sherwin-Williams, and you said Ace Hardware, JC. What do they do with that paint?
So it's shipped to this facility in Nashville,
Okay,
Illinois.
that's the facility
Yeah,
they ship to. in
yeah, there's a
Nashville.
whole, yeah,
It's used, right? It gets used.
it gets reprocessed and used.
Excellent.
Okay, I'm going to say, Ms. Bates,
Well-
I'm going to call on myself. I was at Ace Hardware and I found something called Spruce, which is a weed killer that is non-toxic and it's made out of spruce. I don't know.
Like
Do you
acid.
know about it, Sarah? It's non-toxic. It's made out of certain oils. So I will give you a report soon on whether it works.
That's
or
good.
not.
Maybe it doesn't work.
Yeah, I will do my own
One
research.
quick thing and then we can move on. On page 7, talk about batteries.
Mhm.
It kind of gets a little deep on definition of batteries. At the recycle center, is there any battery they don't take?
Yes, automotive batteries, marine batteries, and any lead acid battery more than 11 pounds. So like large basement backup batteries. Those would be the ones we don't take.
Thank you.
And electric vehicle batteries too, like car batteries. Yeah.
Those are only 3,000 pounds.
Moving
Okay.
on, moving along.
Moving on. This is the same chart I showed you for Naperville, except this is for the home collection program. These are the number of uses, the blue line again, number of program uses. So we had a good year, not as much as last year, as I mentioned, but that's probably a good thing for our budget. And then the amount of material was slightly down. Okay. I wanted to mention our Ace Hardware bulb program. So my predecessor started this as a pilot program, probably around 2021, maybe earlier. The goal here is to have free collection of the mercury containing fluorescent bulbs. Last year we collected just over 2,000 4-foot tubes, about 130 6 to 8 foot fluorescent tubes, and then just over 1,000 other fluorescent lamps. So mostly CFLs, but some like U shapes and circles and things like that. By doing that, we recovered just over 37,000 milligrams of mercury. If all that ended up in surface water, it would be enough to pollute 4.9 million gallons of water past the EPA safe drinking water standard for mercury. That's 7.5 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of water. It's a relatively low cost program in terms of actual budget outlays. We paid just over $12,000 for the processing of all those bulbs. However, the labor involved is pretty substantial at this point. It's really hard to get the Ace Hardware the Ace Hardware staff to be able to identify the bulbs and package them properly. So we kind of have to go in there and redo it a lot of the time. And one of the things we're doing is diverting the LED bulbs. That's one way that we're saving money and keeping this number low, is by sorting out the fully plastic LED bulbs and putting them through the e-waste program, instead of having them go to our vendor for the fluorescents, TerraCycle. They will take LEDs, but they charge more than $1 per bulb to recycle those. And there's like thousands of them, so it adds up. There are other non-trash options for mercury containing bulbs. The Naperville site will take them. Our home pickup program will take them. Certain retailers will take them as well. Some charge, some don't. Batteries Plus will always take pretty much any type of fluorescent or mercury containing bulb. Lowe's and Home Depot generally only take the compact fluorescents. So just a fun FYI on fluorescent bulbs. These are going to be phased out. So hopefully in 10 years or so, we won't really have a need for this type of program. Starting on January 1st of this year, stores should no longer be selling this guy. This is a screw-based CFL, or this one. I haven't really seen any of these, but this is a bayonet-based CFL. And then starting next year is going to be a ban on the sale of pin-based CFLs. So this is a pin-based, and then pin-based tubes. All the tubes are pin-based of this guy. Will no longer be sold in the state. So the policy goal here is to transition both households and business lighting to LEDs. LEDs are business or energy efficient. They're supposed to be long-lived. I personally found that that's been overstated, but whatever. They're significantly less toxic than fluorescent. There's no mercury used or other hazardous chemicals used in the development. The components are recyclable in theory. The things recyclers would actually want from an LED bulb are going to be the small amounts of aluminum and copper used in the circuitry. There's a lot of plastic. At least it's not black plastic, but you know, it's of fairly minimal value.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Go back to that page, Madam Chair. Where we can currently recycle those CFLs. I've been getting rid of mine over the years.
CFLs, you can do it at the Ace Hardware in Geneva,
Okay.
or at Lowe's or Home Depot.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Clear. Because this starts to get complicated, if I just go to Naperville, do they take just about everything? They
For
take
light bulbs,
These light bulbs? No?
they only take mercury containing bulbs.
Okay, well, that's what I
Yeah.
have in my, and I have another question. I have a broken 4-foot fluorescent bulb.
Yeah.
Take that to Naperville?
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
It is dangerous, but what do I get?
Yeah.
for it?
That's the other issue with the Home Depot collection is they
What?
the Home Depots do tend to break a lot of bulbs in the containers, not like all over their floor, but they just throw them in there and they break. It's like, but
So I'll take those to Naperville.
Yeah.
All right.
all right, that was it on my presentation. Now I've got,
Thank you.
Claire, could I ask one quick question, Mavis?
Please go ahead.
You mentioned that the cost of the program with ACE is 12,000. The chart said 1,200. Is which
it's 1,200.
1,200? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Much better.
Sorry.
But my question was, could we, I mean, you're already spending a lot of labor time. Could we train the people at the ACE better so they don't require you guys to spend so much time?
Problem tends to be turnover in staff
okay.
there. And they,
Yep.
yeah. But we're trying.
Thank you.
One quick question, the
Mr. Davidson.
LED, thank you, the LED lighting, bulbs, you can't drop those off at the Fabian place, can you?
No, because LEDs can have glass casing. They absolutely refuse to take anything with glass. They only take the plastic ones from the ACE because I hand sort them and promise them there's no glass in there.
So what do you do with
The glass ones do go to TerraCycle and we just pay the,
the
the processing
so that
fee.
you take them, but you have to give them to.
Yeah.
Okay, this is so complicated.
it's very complicated. And like, that's the thing, to most residents and to probably half the Ace Hardware employees, a light bulb is a light bulb. I don't know what it is.
Okay, moving right along.
Yes. Can we bring up my first resolution? Battery.
Page
B.
Page 16.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. That's
16.
good.
16. Thank you, Blair.
So this is let me, King County is currently participating in the state battery stewardship program. It's described on page 7 of the Green Guide. We're taking batteries from the public for free at Fabian Parkway and at our events. We could be getting paid for this, we're not yet, because we have to sign an agreement with the nonprofit, the Battery Network, to reimburse us some of those collection costs. The rate we'd be reimbursed is 20 cents per pound of batteries collected. I don't know how many batteries how much poundage of batteries we've collected yet, but I'm gonna guess it's close to, let's see. Sorry, brain not working, about 3,000 pounds of batteries so far. So if we're paid 20 cents for each pound, it's not nothing. The problem with the agreement is, so we did have the state's attorney's office review it. There are certain items in it that they didn't love. I guess the one they wanted the board to be acutely aware of is that the Battery Network wants to limit their liability to no more than $5,000 per year. Just the way that the program works, the Battery Network is essentially a coordinator of a program. So they work with, nationally recognized shippers to ship us the material, the collection containers to contain the batteries. So the eWorks person that works at Fabian under my direction collects the batteries, puts them in the containers, and then I am going to be in charge of doing the bill of lading for the battery shipments and getting them shipped back. So that's kind of how it works, and I'm hoping we can.
Caius moves.
Okay,
Got 10 minutes.
Roth will
Out
second.
of here.
second.
You won't have a quorum.
Please call the roll.
Oh.
That's 25,000 pounds a year.
It's a lot.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Hennessis,
Hennessis, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Young,
Yes.
Tarver,
Carver, yes.
Bates.
Bates, yes. Thank you.
The next 3 resolutions are all sort of different flavors of the same thing. They're all supporting various bills that are before the General Assembly this session, and they're all EPR bills. So EPR is extended producer responsibility. The idea is to move the cost of safe disposal of a product or recycling of a product from either the consumer or from local governments onto the manufacturer of the products. The first one here is for a manufacturer-funded program to dispose of household hazardous waste as an entire class of products. It's a very broad-reaching bill, but of the 3 here, it's the one that would actually save the county some money because over time, the cost of collecting household hazardous waste at a facility like Naperville is going to be moved from the state and from the local governments that support the collection costs to the manufacturers of those products. There are a lot of products carved out, like batteries, paints, the ones that are covered under different bills. But it would, it would cover that fertilizer and pesticide and all the rest of it that we're currently paying for.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Can we move all 3 at once?
No, I think we should do them separate.
Mr.
I'll move
Dixon,
this
can we-
first one.
I
I'll
move the
also
first
make a
one.
motion on the first.
I'll do the second one. I'll do the second on the first one.
Roth and Caius, in that order. Okay. Maybe take the roll.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Hennessis,
Hennessis, yes.
Tarver. Mr. Tarver. Young,
I'm
No.
very sorry. Carver, yes.
thank you. Young,
No.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Passes with 1 no.
Thank you. Next one, please.
Okay, the next one honestly was developed in response to the previous one. It's a carve out, creating an EPR project specifically for automotive lubricant and associated products. So it was essentially, this bill was developed by the manufacturers of these products. They want to be treated as their own class and be responsible for the recovery of their own material. It's not just motor oil. It's also like gear oil, transmission fluid, antifreeze is another big one.
Okay,
So-
Mr. Pennis, would
yeah.
you like to move?
I will, Penis's moves.
I second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions about this?
Madam Chair, Dave-
Mr. Young?
David Young, I have a question. I just have a comment. I mean, looking at this yesterday, it looks like when you shift disposal and recycling costs away, you're giving it to the manufacturer. So the manufacturer is going to have to make up for this. So the manufacturer is going to charge the consumer. And when we support these kinds of bills, you're actually supporting just another, I'm going to call it tax, but it's just not a tax. It's basically, it's another cost increase that the consumer needs to suffer. And I don't see how, also, I don't see how this is, in this committee, this is actually our responsibility. I couldn't see in all three of these, how it actually is part of our 2026 committee goals to support this kind of stuff in Illinois, as well as our goals online and our committee goals that we have within in section 2-48. So I would encourage people just to vote no against this, because it's really not even part of our purview. And if you do support it, then you're supporting basically a cost increase to the consumer. Thank you.
Any other comments, Ms.?
I just want to respond. I mean, I agree it's not explicitly mentioned in the committee goals. However, household hazardous waste is a part of our solid waste management plan, which is, was accepted by this committee, and it's my job to implement.
Mr. Caius?
Madam Chair, I would just quickly comment that I think it's a responsibility of the consumer as the ultimate user of this to pay for the responsible disposition of the waste material, and to hide it any other way encourages disposal in inadequate or unsafe environments, so that at least this covers it up front. Be responsible, pay for the stuff that you're going to buy and use from birth to death of the product. That's my word on it.
Cradle to cradle or cradle to grave?
Great, yeah. Cradle best.
Mr. Ross?
If we're doing it more efficiently, if this, like example, the paint, it's costing us $1 per gallon versus the county trying to do it, it's going to cost a lot more because you're getting the,
Okay. so
what do
there's
you
some
call it?
Efficiency in this.
a lot
grave.
more volume.
Okay.
And it is critical because the way our current recycling, because it is so difficult, I would say a lot of it goes right in the garbage.
Okay, great. May we take the roll then?
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Penis's,
Penis's, yes.
Young,
No.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Carver,
Carver, yes.
Bates.
Bates, yes. Thank you. Passes.
You want to let Commissioner Allen
Miss
in on
Allen
this
is
vote?
here. Miss Allen? Okay,
Thank you.
doing your job.
We've
Sorry.
already proved her to be,
Passes.
yeah.
Sorry. Next one, please.
Okay, final one is very similar type of policy. It's specific to electronic smoking devices, basically vapes and e-cigarettes. This was actually, the bill was in part drafted, or the idea came from a high school class in Illinois. Probably seeing their school struggle collecting and confiscating vapes from people, and then having to pay a household hazardous waste program collector company to deal with it. It can cost thousands and thousands of dollars to get these things transported safely and incinerated. So that was the impetus there. And
Guys would move.
Penis's second.
Thank you.
Question.
Oh, Mr. Ross.
Cigarettes are taxed, what, 90%? To prevent, to try to discourage. Are they taxing on the vaping when they buy them?
I don't know. I would imagine so, but I really don't know.
Well, because it is a health issue, and
Yeah.
I mean, the whole, cigarette consumption has gone way down.
Not exactly recyclable.
It's a recessive tax, but it, no, but it affects the people, you know, it's the people paying for it are the ones that are doing the unhealthy action.
Right.
And tossing a cigarette butt in a parking lot is bad, but tossing a vape in a parking lot is even worse because
Okay, no. Okay, where do we stand now?
Alan,
Wait, next point of order. I had my
Oh,
I had my
sorry.
hand up, David
Mr.
Young.
Go
Okay, I
ahead.
just wanted to comment on this. I think this is, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we're even voting on such a thing. I just, how big of an issue is this vaping? I mean, this, this is going to reduce the number of amount of e-cigarettes and vaping paraphernalia by how much? You know, I mean, so if they all of a sudden, where are they going to put these? What's the plan? Are they going to put these containers, recycling containers every 200 feet or something? People are still going to throw them into the trash can. I think, again, I think this is way outside of our purview as a board, and I'm going to be voting no. Thank you.
Ms. Ryan.
just the details would be worked out after the bill would be passed, if it is ever passed, but generally the point of collection is the point of sale. So that would be ideal, is you'd start to see recycling collection at stores that sell vapes. And just in terms of scale, there's probably 300,000, or well, I put it up there, about 275,000 disposable devices thrown out somewhere in the county. So, you know, it could be a major impact. There's a lithium battery in them, which is hazardous in itself. And then there's still concentrated nicotine, which is an environmental and human health hazard. So
Okay.
that's why
Let's take the vote.
Alan, Caius,
Yes.
Genesis,
Genesis, yes.
Young,
No.
Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Bates.
Thank you very much. Now we move to Ms. Hinshaw, please, right?
Yes, can you go forward? Yes, so it's actually also giving us a talk today, the one that we did not get to last time, so take it away
I'll try to be as brief as I can, since I know Sarah has a presentation as well.
till later.
But I know that Ms. Moskowitz already had given a presentation on a recent bill passed by the state. I just wanted to highlight a few state and utility incentives that have been born out of legislation over the past decade or two, and also some pending state programs or money that might have been received from the federal government. So this first page here, I just wanted to highlight 4 state-specific programs. Number 1, 2, and 4 are specific to low-income residents, whereas number 3 is a solar, Illinois Shines is a solar program that anyone can get into. Number 1 being the Weatherization Assistance Program for low-income residents. Essentially, it's about a maximum of $20,000 can be spent if you are eligible as a low-income resident to get your home weatherized, whether that's air sealing, updating your HVAC system. And for folks who are interested in applying for this program, you need to go directly through our community contact at Community Contacts Incorporated. They're the community action agency that is defined by the state to kind of do the administrative work and take folks through that process. That is the same thing also with LIHEAP here, the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. The difference between the weatherization program and the home energy assistance program is that if you qualify through LIHEAP, essentially you get your heat bills paid for a year. So for instance, the community action agency, in this case, Community Contacts, could be directly involved of paying those utility bills to your energy provider for that year. Moving on, going to state programs, continuing state programs and utilities. The one thing I want to highlight here, number 5, with the electric vehicle rebate program. For folks that are aware, all Illinois residents are available who do purchase an electric vehicle under $80,000 and they meet their income requirements. They can qualify either for a $2,000 rebate back from the state or $4,000. The key detail that I want to highlight here is that this program has extended from last year, where the IEPA is now keeping applications open until May 31st. So for folks who are interested in getting an electric vehicle, you can still do so and still have a chance to get the rebate back. Every year, NICOR puts out energy efficiency rebates. They update those rebate amounts each year. So this year, air sealing has been up to $500 per home, and attic insulation has been put at $400 per home. For folks who are interested in doing this, a reminder, you have to go through a qualified contractor through NICOR's program to get this work done and then to receive the rebate. But also compared to last year, these rebates ran out around in June. So if there's folks who are interested in doing this, they need to hop on it now and find a qualified contractor and get it done.
Good. So someone that does it themselves, they don't qualify then?
Yeah, this isn't specific for DIYers. This is, you have to get a
Just-
qualified
I
contractor.
mean, it's not that difficult to put insulation as long as you don't breathe it.
Of course. And then a new program that was added this year through ComEd is kind of branching off of this light heat program for folks. Depending on your income eligibility, you can essentially get some of your bill discounted. So the like closer you get to 0% of the federal poverty level, the higher your discount would be. And then moving to the last slide here, just highlighting some county programs and pending programs from us, also from the state as well. A brief update on the farmer weatherization rebate program. Thus far, we have had 3 folks who have benefited from this with about $15,900 left in the program. I've talked recently with Kat Gertz. We are going to be doing a huge social media output for the next few months, just reminding people that this program is still going on, and also just as we've gone through the winter, reminding people this is still happening and that people can still access this funding. Additionally, also, we'll have that discussion later next month about the energy audit and rebate program. And then finally, I just wanted to highlight 2 programs that the state had been conditionally awarded from the federal government through the Inflation Reduction Act. One is called the HOMES program, which is more specific to energy efficiency rebates for low-income households. There's still some details being worked out in this case through the contract with the federal government. But the state has to generate some form of an energy model, and depending on the savings that a home could receive, they get a certain amount in rebates back. And then the same thing similarly to the home electrification and appliance rebate program that is also focused on low-income households, but it's more specific to heat pumps, insulation, air sealing. And again, that's still conditional on if the money will be awarded. And that's all I had.
Thank you very much. NICOR Environmental Stewardship Grant Upgrade.
Hello, good morning. So we partnered with Conservation Foundation a while ago to bring trees to new homeowners. And I just wanted to give a brief update about where we are in the program. Wrong way. There we go. So we put this lovely, beautiful flyer out. It has gone out to realtors. And so what realtors will do is they will hand this with a voucher out to residents. We said anyone in the last 6 months or anyone between now and the middle of April that has bought a new home. And I have been, I think it's in the next slide. I have gone out. Oh, well, first I have over 600 flyers out so far, which is amazing. I drove all around Elgin, Aurora, and called a bunch of people, and many people were very happy and excited about the program. This is the list of the trees that we will be giving out. They are 3 or 5 gallons. We are anticipating, because I put out so many flyers and I've gotten so many calls, that we will exhaust this quickly. And if so, the plan is to buy the tree saplings like the bare root, and at least we can still honor giving somebody a tree. It won't be the same, but we can still honor that as long as we can. Yeah, so again, these are all natives. They were picked out through Conservation Foundation. I don't know what many of these are, but I know they do. And so, and I have pictures of them and they are beautiful. So, yes, so as mentioned, so 19 realtors so far. Trees ordered to date, that was 11 when I put this in. Today it was 28 this morning. And if you know anyone that has bought a house between now and last year and you would like a voucher, I'm more than happy to give you one.
Okay, great.
Question. So it's only new home buyers?
New homeowners.
First
Yeah,
time or just buying a home?
just new.
So
yes,
existing people that want to add trees that we don't help.
we would love to help all people by the trees. It's just the way the program worked, and
I
we can only
understand.
give you so many limited amount of trees that we can
I
hand out.
understand.
Yeah. So yeah. And what's nice about this is it doesn't have to go in the parkway when I know Batavia has their program, Elgin has their program, and this tree can go anywhere.
Okay. We have come to the end of our agenda. Any other?
I have one more thing
Oh,
quickly.
please go
Sorry.
ahead.
So tomorrow, we are doing Sustainable Saturdays. This was put on with the help from Green Gorilla, put on help from Cat, and several other people. So we'll be going to the Elgin Math Science Academy and giving a talk, myself, Ann Mueller, and Frankie. I do not know Frankie, Frankie Garcia. And then we'll be doing a kind of a booths, and the idea is that it's going to be all the volunteer areas that you can go to. So the Forest Preserve, Red Oaks, Hawthorne Hills, and just for people to get to know the information if they want to volunteer this summer with different organizations around Kane County.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you to our wonderful staff, as always. My chair's comments are going to be, first of all, Aurora, the city of Aurora has declared a 6-month moratorium on data centers to study the issues involved. And I was at one of the public hearings on this, and there were 200 people, and they were mad as hell about the Cyrus data center and their quality of life. So these data centers really need to be carefully placed. Maybe they can improve their own energy efficiency. Maybe they need to bring their own energy. They're using up our energy and raising our electric rates. This has to be very, very carefully considered. Also, the Aurora Green Fest is coming back on May 2nd. It's going to be held at a different place this year. It's going to be held at either what we would call the old post office or the old SciTech building or 18 West Benton Street. It's going to be very exciting. Please check our website. If you know anybody who would like to be a vendor, it's all on the website, auroragreenfest.com. Easy to remember, auroragreenfest.com. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you to our wonderful staff and to our wonderful committee.
Pennis
Reports on file.
to put unanimous consent to put reports placed on file.
No problem.
Consent, okay.
No problem. And then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr.
Pennis is
Ross.
second.
Thank you. All
All
in
in
favor,
favor?
say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Oh,
you.
only 1 minute late, or